So, did anybody get the idea of what we were going to be talking about today? It was an important day for me as I've run into this very directly, very clearly. Thank you so much for that, Robin. Look at that beautiful thing.
I had a bunch and I was like, I gotta bring one.
Thank you. And then we got Robin and music. Gratitude and grief. Gratitude and grief is the topic. And frequently, isn't it so, that we see gratitude and grief as different, separate, disconnected. The other side of the track, the side you don't want to get on, you just want to hang over here in the gratitude. You don't ever want to have to. And in the Buddhist teachings, and these are some of my favorite, really honestly, and I have probably benefited personally the most from the reality of impermanence and interconnectedness or interdependence being one and the same, not separate aspects, right? Separate configuration, but not separate from what we would then call the whole, right? The whole of this precious human life. And of course, we live in a culture then that says if you get it right, don't we? If you work hard, if you go to the right college, if you eat the right food, if you get it right, you can avoid this whole half of this life. The truth of what? Aging, illness, and death, the truth of loss, not only the loss through um, the loss of a loved one or the loss of Tinkerbell, but what? The loss of actually everything, and then the reality that how we live, it's the fifth remembrance, then how we live is going to determine what? How it goes. Not only how it goes, it says in this lifetime, but how it goes from here. Isn't that interesting? How it goes from here into whatever other, and the Buddha himself never answered the question, what comes next? Why? Never answered the question. You couldn't know it, could you? And we don't have to get to the moment of death to recognize, right? We could just be here saying, rain or not rain, wet or not wet, little man's going to have a fit today, he's not going to have a fit today. We really, other than the conditions in which we could be then completely, fully engaged here, we couldn't know, right? We couldn't know. Yeah, that was good. And so then interconnectedness, interdependence, similar words, Thich Nhat Hanh's term interbeing, and impermanence, intricately, intimately non-separate. And then we look at our gratitude practice and we say, I like turning towards the pleasant. I like connection, love. I like the pretty colors of flowers. I like birthday celebrate. And I run, and we're going to pay a little attention to this today in our practice. I run from everything that speaks to the remembrances, right? Run from everything else. And the Buddha said, as long as you are running, you cannot be happy, can you? As long as you're running, as long as you're turning away, it will deprive you of the whole preciousness of this life. And isn't it true? Because even in death, most of us have gone through this one or many times. Even in death, there is a beauty in the knowing of that love, isn't it? There's a beauty in it. And the beauty is, in fact, then, isn't it interesting? Precisely because you cannot keep it as a thing, can you? You can't hold it as a body. You can't hold it as a, I like it like this. I love when we meet on Thursday mornings. It's great when I can talk to my dad on the phone. We can't keep it in its form, but it was never intended, then, says the Buddha. Ooh, you mistook it. It was never intended to be one thing, was it? It was intended to be infinite. And we live it already, don't we? Jessica's just looking at her daughters. Every time I see those daughters at Philipville, I go, oh my God, they're older, they're bigger, they're more beautiful, they're more their own person, right? And then look what we would miss if we, and when we, then don't we grab it? Could we imagine then this as also being the truth at the time of death? You can't you, Robin? Because you've been there. I've been there. Carrie's been there. Lisa's been there. Right? We have lots of Greg's been. There's a lot of us who have confronted. Liz has been there, right? The beauty of also the loving then what beyond. It says this is the Buddha's one of my favorite. Beyond what? Loving beyond what? Yeah, condition. No more just the way I like it. No more because we had our favorite coffee on Thursday. No more because what? It was never defined, was it? It was never that. It was always more. And then we have to begin to work on opening, including, and living into that love. And who of us who has had a significant loss doesn't recognize that the love in no way has diminished? Anybody feel like the love has diminished from the loss? Does anybody notice it only got bigger? It only got bigger. Why? Unconditioned. It is no longer based on the coffee. It's no longer based on the sex. It's no longer based on the thing that we love that we shared at all. It's now only based on what? The singular reality of interconnectedness, interdependence, interbeing. Because I couldn't have been okay, could I, without you? I couldn't have been. It was an impossibility. And then we recognize it because we go, oh, that was the gift all along. Simply the love, the rest, to some extent, incidental, right? We got that house, we got this. It's really not so much the point. Okay, so we get this. So the Buddha said, without the reality, the greatest teaching, of course, he said, was that of impermanence and interdependence. Without these essential teachings, we could never, and knowing them, knowing deeply, and don't we keep running into them every day, every single day? I go this way, okay, impermanence, okay. They were coming over for dinner, now they're not. I just made 5 more gallons of that. Nope, it's not going to look like that, right? When we recognize it, we have now an opportunity. What's the opportunity? When you recognize the grip, the tanha, the thirst for wanting it the way we want it, which is continuous, right? We're not going to lie. It's continuous. When we recognize it, what's the opportunity?
To extend compassion.
To extend compassion first to ourselves for the suffering we have just constructed, right? We've just created a suffering for ourselves. What else could we do with that? Recognition first, right? Mindfulness first.
Growth.
Mm-hmm. Come into our direct experience, however that is, usually not so pleasant. And what else? What could we do? These are all opportunities. Feel compassion. You can't feel compassion without knowing suffering. So Robin would say you could come into your body, know how you are, because probably not so pleasant. We're going to do some yoga. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some things over there that aren't that pleasant for me. I haven't moved this body in a long time, really. I've stared at Liz for the last 2.5 years. Someday, Someday we're going to get back there. Right? I'm going to confront the unpleasant, but what else is there?
Movement.
The
Forward.
possibility for opening, couldn't we say? Isn't it true? Whether it's yoga, meditation, prayer, mindfulness, the possibility is now infinite for opening. And then what that looks like, whether that's compassion or wisdom, that right, we see it all as just the good news. Okay, we're going to practice now.
Sorry, Di, but what do you mean by opening? Is
What
that,
I mean,
yeah,
I
what is
mean
opening to it?
what opening.
Thanks.
It means we no longer hang on to preference. We let go, let be, maybe at the least. We no longer hang on to I wanted it a certain way, qualities of wanting and not wanting. It means we soften the body, Jean, and
Okay.
allow the experience exactly as it is.
So that's what, okay. So allow, accept, opening, are
Yeah,
they fairly similar? Thanks.
yeah,
Okay.
they all are. They're all a part of that opening, and including self-compassion,
Yeah.
which is heart opening, feeling for ourselves in the moment of difficulty, right? That's opening.
Uh,
Uh, well,
Dee,
yeah.
Diana,
Hi, Gracia.
hi. You know what also helps me is to understand that it's not just a me feeling, it's so universal and so
Right.
human.
That's another
That's
kind of opening, opening beyond the me
right.
to the we,
Just,
or the we, says Dan Siegel, the me and we. And I love
mhm,
that because I don't want to leave us out of that we, as we tend to do, tend to think
mhm.
everybody else, don't we? Okay. All right. So we're going to practice because we have Liz here and we've got a lot of not moving in my case, but hopefully in your case, moving, and a lot of opening no matter what. Mm-mm. And I'm going to start our practice today with a poem that I accidentally found was by Joanne Boyle. And Joanne Boyle is a Facebook poet that she just publishes on Facebook, which I think is just radical. Um, and so as we're sitting, I will read that. And so finding a upright, dignified, open, available, present posture, whatever that looks like for you. There is no one way to posture, as there is no one way to love. Liz would say there is no one way to this possibility of movement and stillness. And the thing we awaken equally together is the wish for ease, the wish that all beings benefit from our practice. And the wish to be present just this moment. Settling into the body, resting in the cradle of the breath. Opening, present, arriving. Look at this language to whatever is arising this moment. The cool morning breeze, this little runny nose, and with each breath, life. And whatever else is happening in your life, can we just be here? Really here. Fully here. And as you are here, you begin to notice that both the realities of joy and sorrow are alive in each moment. The coming and the going, the birth and the death, a part of the whole. And the teachings say that if you notice, especially in this early practice, these particular first few moments, that you're more leaning into the in breath than the out breath, there will likely be an imbalance in the practice. Just as if you were leaning more on the left foot than the right foot, there would be consequence. Just as if you were only attending to birth, not death, or vice versa. Or grief, not gratitude, or gratitude, not grief, we would be off center, imbalanced. So grief walked up to love and asked if it would dance. Love blamed grief for everything and rudely answered, "No chance." Grief stood there, watching love, knowing there was nothing it could do. It shared in every teardrop and felt the heartache, too. Love hated grief so fiercely and prayed for it to go away. Grief could never leave, though, and it was here to stay. Every day it asked the same question: "Love, please dance with me." Every day was met with the answer: "Please, just leave me be." Grief and love shared every moment. Every thought was just the same. Every day they fought a battle of love along with blame. Grief finally stopped asking and pulled love to its chest. Together They swayed to memories and shared their empty or ample nest. Grief never let go of love again. They made better music as one. After all, if there was no love, then grief could never belong. This awareness of impermanence is here to stay. We can deepen this. Abide and breathe these realities every day. See if you can find a place in the heart space as you begin to breathe in, right there, where grief or gratitude lives. See what is most available to you. Grief or gratitude. Let whichever is truly most present be here. Let it inform the body and the heart-mind. Breathe into it, move closer, feel the felt sense. Stay in contact. Don't let go. With each breath, we see if we can relax the body a little bit more to allow the experience to radiate beyond the heart into the whole body, into the whole being, to be fully known. Of course, there may be images, memories, conversations, shards of experience, all relevant and inviting this quality. And then I'd like you to invite the other, whichever that is. Remember, not so other, just a different constellation of experience. If you focus primarily on grief the first time, let's look to gratitude and vice versa. See where you can feel that within this same heart, this same body, this same mind. And see if you can't begin to turn for a moment towards it. I was focusing first on gratitude. That was up in the upper right part of the chest. I could feel it vibrating, warmth, ease, life. The whole right side of the body felt easeful. Interestingly, grief is in the lower left. Just this time, it doesn't always look or feel the same. And how do I know grief? Well, I know it as a set of thoughts. I was thinking of my father, my aging mother, my brother. And as I reflect on them and the impermanence of the body, I allow whatever arises to arrive. There may be a particular set of sensations arising, and mine is actually a little surprising for me right now. I was imagining a contraction, or it's actually not. It's not happening like that actually at all. I feel a sort of warmth there as well. But we allow whatever is arising with each breath. There is no sensation, there is no thought, there is no condition better than another. I would, though, like you to watch for the tendency then to pick a side. And actually, our integration practice here is to open the whole heart to both, because this is the truth of life. Birthing and deathing, blessings and sorrows, losses, and the arrival of the present and the new, each breath. And what do you notice when you open the whole heart to the whole truth? And there is no problem, don't make it one, for one to arise in a moment more or less than the other. It isn't true, and sometimes we hold one thing at a time to know it. What does it feel like to open to both? The realities of both, the experience of both, arising every moment, says the Buddha. Not one or the other. It only means you are half seeing. And then, in fact, we may come to begin to sense that grief exists, in fact, because of love. Love is an antecedent to grief. It comes before and during and ongoing. The same heart, the same love, different elements, different aspects, not separate. And as we begin to transition, we're going to see if we can't hold them both. Remember, not separate, not distinct, integrated, a part of a whole. The heart can feel all things, both sorrow for the suffering in the world and appreciation for the miracle of this life and love. And may this practice be a benefit and a contribution to all beings everywhere without exception, omitting none, awakening us all. So be it. a felt sense of wholeheartedness. Yeah. We go get what we have been avoiding or disconnecting from, and you can feel the balance in it, can't you? You smile more at the whole than you do at any half. Even in gratitude, by the way, as we're getting ready to transition, we have to be careful because then we cling, don't we? We have a tendency to cling in gratitude to the good. And really, then, in that very clinging, we tend to omit the whole there too. And it also is brittle. It is also brittle. It is still only one leg. And really, you will feel the groundedness, I think, the rootedness of both in our practice now with Liz from holding everything. It's really much more centering, much more grounding than any one piece of this life, even the pieces we prefer. Okay, I'm going to stay on Zoom for just a minute to answer any questions anybody has, but I am going to let the group here in the garden transition with Liz into going down to the yoga area. And I know we have more blankets if needed.
Blankets and mats.
Blankets and mats down below.
So anyone can join.
All right, please
Little man, we love you.
make that transition, folks. I will be down there in a minute. And I'm just going to check in with the Zoom crowd. Thank you so much for joining us to see if there's anything I can do to help answer any questions around the practice or this issue of holding the whole of life in the same one heart. Anybody have any thoughts about that?
I just have a comment. You know, it's been now 4 years since my mother passed, and that poem and just sitting with it broke open that grief again. And it was really beautiful. It's really beautiful because that love, as you said, is always there. And that it's a reminder of it, of that love.
Yes.
Um,
Grief is a part of love.
yeah. And so I just wanted
And
to
you've
make
hidden
that
yourself
comment.
from it, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful, Brittany. We all do it, don't we?
Yeah.
We hide ourselves from what we think is just going to break our hearts, but it isn't true. It enlivens it. We get to feel the whole thing, right? And without love, of course, there is no grief. And then we separate ourselves from all that love that's still pained or wanting, and it's not a problem, right? This is a part of our human experience, not to be missed, not to be missed, right? I don't want us to believe that somehow if we get it right, or if we get the mindfulness practice right, or if we love enough, or right, we come up with all these crazy ideas. If I'm a good practitioner, I won't cry or I won't feel that. And it's actually not true. The truth is you'll feel more. And you'll notice the wholeness, you said, in the feeling. And it's both beautiful, relieving, and then you recognize I'm capable of this. Because the love is here also, right? It's not separate from love. This is a very strong misunderstanding that if I loved enough, um, somehow I wouldn't know grief. Well, I think it's the opposite. You can be with the grief, I think is also true in the reality of knowing the love. And then you keep living the love and you let the grief inform that. Not separate, not disconnected, and be watchful what we make of it. I think probably early on in the Zen tradition, I had the mistaken understanding that somehow if I got it right, I wouldn't cry, that I would only be in joy, that I would only be in ease, that I would only be, and this is a complete fallacy. There's no truth in this. Somehow, what a mistake. And it cost me something.
Dee, will you send us that poem?
I will. Joanne Boyle, and I'm happy to send it to you. I've never seen it before, and isn't it crazy when you start
Mm-hmm.
to open to things, it falls on us often,
Yeah.
and it's there. I've never heard it, and I've never heard of Joanne Boyle uh, either. And then the second poem I'm going to send you, and I want you to reflect on it as well. Very different. Is a poem by Mary Oliver, and you've all heard it, called Wild Geese. But I want you to read Wild Geese again, and I'll include it with this recording. I want you to read it again with the truth of gratitude and grief held in the same heart. And I
Mm-hmm.
think you're going to see something also there. So,
I think today's meditation
yes,
really made me understand my tears. When I cry, I get really confused, like, well, but I'm joyful, and why am I like, there's always a tinge of more.
yes,
And now, I mean, this really made me understand.
yes, good. Yeah, we mistake this, don't we, Graciela? We do it a lot as a this thing or a that thing. Uh, Either you're happy or you're not. Either you're a good practitioner. It's really crazy. And we are not going to hide from grief. We don't have to run from grief. We don't have to not feel grief. We don't have to get over grief to know gratitude, and vice versa, do we? It's really an unfortunate, uh, it's an unfortunate truth that we separate these things in a way that causes our suffering. But we aren't going to keep doing it, are we? Whenever you feel one, open to the other. It's right there.
Well, to be honest, I always kind of knew, but I think I felt embarrassed when I cried, and it was from a real deep well. I then got embarrassed around people who don't cry often.
Right.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And don't mistake the not crier for not griever. Don't do that. And don't mistake the not griever for someone who isn't heartbroken and joyful. Right. We can't mistake the outer for uh, anything that's happening on the inner. It does mean, as Courtney was just saying, hey, maybe I've stayed away from this a little in a way that now I don't have to. Out of our fear, out of our wish to be okay, out of our wish to function, right, to stay balanced, whatever our realities, we can do this, but we don't have to. Isn't that fabulous? We don't have to. And so,
Well,
all
thank
right.
you.
Yes, thank you all so much. Blessings to you all. I'm going to go do a little bit of yoga with my friend Liz and the Sangha. I'm sorry all of you can't be here. I hope you can all join me at the retreat coming up May 7th through 9th. And if you can't, I understand completely. We'll look for another time together. I look forward to that. Blessings. Be well.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Much love to all. Take care, everyone. We'll be on this topic through the whole retreat. So it'll be good news. Yay! Good news for us all. Take care, everyone.